Hello, hello. What's it? Somebody test the sound with me. Make sure we're there.
Oh, whoopsie. That was on mute. Can you hear me?
I can now.
Cool. All right. Awesome.
Can you hear me now?
Good.
Thanks for being early. Those of you that are early, it's awesome.
And as always, we're still going to give people a little grace period to get on once we hit the time.
Yep.
And really, this whole, and you guys get the sneak peek. I'll probably repeat this again, but what we want to build here is a dialogue with community-based organizations, systems, and we'll be doing that throughout the months to come, and concentrating, the overall topic of community-based organizations and systems working together. And we know what we know, but I know there's going to be a plethora of knowledge that attend these calls, and we'll be having special guests invited in months to come, and just to continue this dialogue. And we know that once we have these conversations, we will be building for the ultimate outcome of helping the people and the populations we serve. Yeah, you will hear that repeated again, but yes, that's what we're here. So there's going to be an open dialogue and communication throughout, getting knowledge from you all as well. Hello, Kelly. I see you. All right.
Where does Kelly work? Where do you work, Kelly? Name sounds familiar. Your face looks familiar too.
Kelly said she's on early. That means she
I don't know if Kelly can hear me, but
coffee
Kelly,
together.
yeah, there's Dorothy. You know Dorothy.
Oh, shout out Dorothy. That's my buddy.
Retired and here. Okay.
Right? No, she's never retired. You believe that?
I mean, that's what I heard. That's what she told me. Hey, Dorothy. Hey, Emma.
Hi, good evening. How are
Good.
you?
Good. How are you doing?
Fantastic. Thank you.
Great. Yeah. And Father's Joe Village. What is your name?
It's
Myrna. Cool. There you go. Hey, Myrna, is that how you pronounce it?
It is. Thank you, Amanda.
You're welcome. And then let's see. Man, I got it. Let's see. Kasi, is that how you pronounce your name? Kasi?
Actually, Cassie.
Cassie. All right. I got 2 for 2. 2 for 3. and Talitha. Is that how you pronounce your name?
Yes, you have it right, Talitha.
All right. 3 for 4. There we go.
Uh-oh, scoreboard.
There we go.
People are like, we joined it. I hope you didn't. This is not going to be your average webinar or series. we used to being talked to and no one asked. No. Be ready to say stuff, or at least in the chat, because we're in this together. We're in this fight together, y'all.
Yeah, I know we didn't put on the flyer that we'd be saying hi and calling on you, but that's okay. Hey, Dorothy.
Dorothy. Oh,
Hello.
You made my smile even brighter. Thank you.
Good to see you. So are you retired now?
I am, and I'm on the East Coast.
Okay, cool. Very cool.
But I want to remember how all of this works, so I need your education.
Okay. Well, we need yours as much as you need ours. So it's going to be a cross collaboration.
I feel pressured now. That's not even
I
good.
know. It's like, oh.
The pressure is on.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Okay, and if you all don't mind, we'll, as this is the intro conversation, but we are going to respect everyone's time. We'll vote here. Early birds, are we giving a 5-minute or a 10-minute grace period? Put it in the chat.
Yeah, there we go. We'll vote on it.
Vote. Look, early birds get the vote. 5. Okay.
5, okay.
5. 5.
Okay.
Emma's cruel though. She was like, start now.
I'm being nice. I was gonna say I'm being nice.
Yeah, so
Right.
we currently have a group of youth, 59 youth that we're training to be leaders and be involved in civic engagement and community service activities. And we teach them, 15 minutes is 15 minutes previous to the time you're supposed to be there. That's on time. 30 minutes is early. On time is late. So 5 minutes of a grace is good. And no
Cool.
biggie. We're, like I said, we're going to become family over the months, and the connections that we'll make throughout the United States are going to be great and beyond. I believe we get Canada as well in the house, so the connections we make are going to be, extremely valuable, and the knowledge that we'll share is valuable. So people can hop in and out as you please.
Mhm.
You will not be graded on this. Okay.
All right, so 5 minutes, we'll give it. Awesome.
And it's recorded as well. So, for those that miss or want to backtrack on stuff that we say, we're going to record it. It'll be available for everybody to reference, to share.
Armand, you're the only guy so far. I just realized you're with all the women, all the ladies.
You know what? The women do the most work. And and especially just being honest, when it comes to helping, when it comes to service, when it comes to community service, and I'm not the expert. I don't know what to tie that to. I have my own opinions, and I'll keep those to myself so I don't get beat up for people that may disagree. But when you get into community organizations, when you get into nonprofit community, when you get in the work, even just that care, that heart, I think is just something that women carry that either men don't, for whatever reason. If it's those, we're starting to break those habits and those stereotypes that have been embedded in our heads since we're born of our role and male and female role. If that has to play, but when you get into the work of caring, whatever the avenue is, you see dominant of women there.
Yep. Cool.
Come on, Mike.
Oh,
See?
you got one. You got
I'm
one
not
coming
alone.
in. You got
Hey.
one now. All right.
Come on,
All
Mike.
right.
That was fire.
You called
Thank you,
upon
Mike.
a gentleman. That was magic right there.
You came in on cue. We were just talking
Hey.
about how I was the only guy here, and we were talking about how I was talking about how when you get into a lot of the industries of care, you see a dominance of women that are there with the heart, with the service, and do the most work.
Oh,
But thank you for joining me.
And then you pop right in there.
That's us.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Very cool.
Awesome.
And just so everyone knows, we're giving it till 5 past, and then we're going to get started. So giving everyone just a little bit of grace time to get in here.
Susanna. What's up, Karen? Got buddies in here.
What's up? I'm pinning in people and I'm like, where are you at?
Oh, all right. Get it. Do it.
All I know is I'm looking forward to Mike's walk. And I think I think it's innovative. The idea you have and what you're doing, Mike, is valuable. And I can't wait to go on my first walk with you all. I think it'll be at the Liberty Station.
Oh, yeah, next Thursday.
That's
Yeah.
Thursday. It's on my calendar. Can't wait.
Yeah, awesome. Glad you can make it. Yeah.
And we have 2 minutes before we hard start.
Yep.
Can you mind telling the folks on here what that's about? Because I just think it's really creative and awesome. And please share with the folks here.
I was just going to ask that. Yeah.
Sure. So these are nonprofit net walks. It's really the inspiration for it for me is having worked on different sides of that equation, bringing together both nonprofit leaders and funders together, including board members, in an informal environment to really get to know each other, create opportunities to collaborate. Who knows what can happen, shine a spotlight on some nonprofits, including lesser known nonprofits. Next week is a well-known nonprofit, the San Diego Foundation funder, but they're going to be hosting us. And then the San Diego River Park Foundation will be hosting us in April in Ocean Beach. So they're 2 to 3 mile walks, social pace. And there's been some great connections that have been made, and we have them about twice a month. And so, yeah, if you're all welcome to join if you would like, and I can drop a link in if you would like, Armand.
Oh, yeah, please.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah.
And throughout these months, these conversations that we're having, like that idea, we're going to hear ideas from people from different regions, different areas of the planet, that innovative ideas like that. And I think that's a cool way. I like to walk, I like to hike, and now having that as a meeting place and to congregate and talk and meet people, I love it. And that's something that somebody on here right now might think is a great idea and want to bring to wherever they're at. So just salute.
Yeah. All right.
Cool.
And we're at 4:05. We're going to begin.
Yes.
If you don't mind, I will be sharing screen now. And oh yeah, disclaimer intro. This is a conversation of people that are already in these different fields, industries. For we aren't claiming to be the instructor, the lead people who know this. We know there's knowledge in every single box that I'm looking at here on my Zoom screen. And please, we're going to be engaging with each other throughout. This is a dialogue. I don't like to be talked at. We want to talk together, share ideas. If you hear something, if Armand says something that you totally disagree with, don't say anything. Just kidding. Please say something and let's talk, because ultimately, by us sharing knowledge, by us connecting, by us bouncing ideas off each other, the people that are going to benefit are the different people and populations that we serve. And I believe that's why we're all here and doing the work in whatever segment of the community service and work that we do while we're here. All righty.
Cool.
I made sure as I shared screen to take my personal banking information off. And bam. You are sharing. Move this box. Okay. All right. So welcome to this is the first. This is the first of a series. We'll be doing this once a month until the end of the year as we plan. And the overarching idea and concept is connecting systems with community-based organizations. Today is intended to be an overview of what that means. And in months to come, we'll focus on certain areas of this more. Some will be youth-led, family-led, some will be more systems, but we're going to break down this overarching topic into different niche topics, okay? So that list of you'll know what they are ahead of time, everybody who registered for this, and we'll be putting out a broader email to just systems and folks like we did with this one, to so you will know what's coming ahead, and please chime in. And if there's somebody, I'll also throw this out there, if there's somebody you know personally that as you see these other topics that may be specialized in that area or you think would add value to the group, invite them in. We'll bring them on as a guest speaker. Or if you yourself are like, oh, I have some great stuff for there, come in, be ready. This is not the Armand and Amanda show. This is the us show, okay? So I just said our host, hosted by Amanda Brown and Armand King. Amanda, if you don't mind, can you give a background of yourself and who you are and what amazing work you do and why you're here?
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, everybody. I know a few of you on the Zoom, so thank you for joining, and nice to meet those of you that I have not met. My name is Amanda Brown. As Armand said, I am a consultant, so I have my own organization, and I work with mostly nonprofits that are working with the Credible Messenger movement. So I do a lot of work with ex-gang members, formerly incarcerated individuals who have really restored their lives, like Armand, and that's actually shout out to Armand. He really planted the seed for me when I was getting my master's at Peace and Justice at the University of San Diego. I was doing a human trafficking workshop with him, and it kind of just like flipped me on my head, because it was just like, I didn't know. You can see the color of my skin. I grew up in a white affluent town. I'm part Puerto Rican, but I predominantly grew up in a white town. So there's a lot that I was introduced to in that program, and what Armand shined, a light into my mind and switched me into getting into really wanting to work with the credible messenger movement. I worked with trafficking survivors for a little bit, and why I still, participate in that space, but why I switched over to really the credible messenger side of things is because I would get, there was comments like, I don't believe in a born again pimp again, or, like restoration can't happen. And for me, I really had to go through that space and really realize like, wow, this is still a stigma that's out there. This is still something that people are fearing, and there's a lot of like mistrust, and I didn't have that perception. And so really I'm an advocate and an ally to really push this movement forward because for me, I've worked with a lot of communities in the past, and this is probably the most loyal family-based collection of individuals that I've ever worked with. So I'm really passionate about, like I said, having not only systems understand what's happening on the ground, but the general population. There's like people that just don't even know what they don't know. And I really want to be there to educate. Like Armand said, I don't have all the answers. I just know that I'm an advocate and I have a passion for giving people second, third, fourth chances. And I really believe it's all about trust. And so that's why I'm here today. That's a little bit more about me, and passionate about the movement.
Yeah, appreciate you. And the one thing before I brief intro myself, Amanda, she said, I met her in that class at UCSD. We did a series, myself and a few other community leaders on human trafficking. But Amanda, after graduating, after getting out of there, she was, I don't even know anybody else. I don't remember anybody else in your class. I don't even know what they did, but I know you hit the pavement running, like put into spaces and places. And you are now, through your work from that university, are connected to, I can't think of a credible messenger mentor in San Diego that you are not connected to. And then beyond, we get to Chef Jeff in Las Vegas, and you're not even in San Diego anymore. You're on the East Coast, right?
I'm on the East Coast until May. I came over here for a little bit to do a gun violence prevention and intervention program in a city. But I'll be going back and forth. So yeah, East Coast to East Coast. Yeah.
So just kudos to you, and thank you for the work you've been doing and keeping us connected. Myself, Armand King, I'd say I didn't plan on getting into community service or youth advocacy. I wasn't that person, didn't go to college. It wasn't, the desire to go help people, I can't say was leading my life. I stumbled upon it. Actually, I feel like, when they say God, let God take the wheel, God didn't take the wheel. He snatched it from me. He threw me in the trunk and said, we're going on a ride for the next decade. And you're going to be helping people with your experiences, with your actual lack of knowledge of systems and of nonprofits. And that lack of knowledge, I believe, helped me to be successful because I didn't know what the rules were. I didn't know what you could and couldn't do. I just know, and I always, and still to this day, I put my mind in what, as a person who has lost, out of 8 of my best friends, I'm one of 4 that's still alive. And for whatever reason, God has left a connection to me, to those individuals, my friends, my families, my brothers. And it's, what would I do? What would have been needed in their lives to keep them alive? And that's been kind of the movement, the force with it that I've moved with over the years, and helping individuals where they're at. And then as I've learned, and really I owe even this conversation topic to a group out of the Bronx, New York, called Community Connection for Youth. CCYF, Community Connection for You. Yeah, CCFY, excuse me. So many acronyms in this industry. And they had a grant, I don't know if it was federal grant, or I believe a federal grant, to go around the United States and bring systems and community-based organizations together and train us on how to work with each other. They did a survey analysis on San Diego when they came. They brought us together, and this was early on, maybe 3 years into the nonprofit for me. So through those connections, being connected to probation, being connected to Health and Human Services, the realization of the value in that, and not being detached, but being attached, and having, I don't want to age myself, but a Rolodex or a contact list of numbers and people you could call, people like Dorothy Thrush that's on this call right now, or this meeting, having that has been super valuable. And for me individually, but mostly for the people that I wanted to help, having that good relationship. So we're here today to start that conversation and pick up some tools and share some, we rearrange and exchange some game, as we used to say growing up. Amanda, you're always going to get the go first.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we're gonna, just to kind of back it up, with the intention is today we're just gonna basically give an introduction to what we're gonna be doing over the next several months. And it's really about highlighting the importance of the whole community working together, regardless of opinions or differences or backgrounds. And this first question really is, do community-based organizations work well in your city? Meaning, are they making an impact not only on the grassroots level, but are they partnering well with systems? And I'm gonna get into a couple personal examples, because I was a contractor with the county. I worked for the city for a little bit, and now I'm definitely grassroots, but I'm still needing to connect to those systems for not only resources, but like I said, it's all about trust for me, and having the systems trust us with the work we're doing on the ground, and vice versa. So this first question is just kind of like an inquiry for you. Do community-based organizations work well in your city, not only in the grassroots sense, but with partnering with systems? So anything else you want to add, Armand?
Yeah, so actually, this is a what they say, this is a engagement contact sport right here. So the question is real and authentic. So does anybody in here, if you don't mind, please put in the chat if you feel yes, no, kind of, whatever your feelings are. We are recording this. I'll be taking notes on this, and this is going to help us also to build upon the webinar series. So, and if anybody wants to unmute and speak on that question, please do. But other than that, everybody, you do have classwork right now. Do community-based organizations work well in your city? Got 2. We lighten up. 3. That's
Okay, so we got like maybes so far, basically.
yes and no.
Yes and no, yeah,
Sometimes, yeah.
okay. Nope. Very fairly.
And I'm thinking, a piece of this question is missing, I believe, and it's do they work well with systems in your city? Does that
Yeah.
change your answer, or do you believe this, or your answer is still the same? If it changes, please say something. Depends on agenda and who's driving it. I like that. And depends on organization, who's in charge. Wow. So if you notice, we have there's not a one solid yes in here. Oh, here we go. We got a yes. We got a
Yeah,
yes.
one yes, yeah.
Uh-huh. They work better than systems rather than with each other.
I'm gonna touch upon that, Oscar. Yep. Systems leaders are growing stronger.
So when you say system leaders are growing stronger, do you mean they're growing stronger and the community-based organizations are not, like they're continuing to build?
Yes, they're becoming more and more equity-based, more training, more understanding of the culture and the system, and starting to collaborate more and work towards shared goals, I think, but still have a long way to go.
Awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
And this is an ongoing question too. I think the point of this too is really to prompt you and keep you going in this inquiry as you're out there in your professions and out there in between series too. So this is not, the only end all be all, but it's just like, just dwell in the inquiry a little bit after this too.
And I think it'd be awesome. Like that, these are seeds being planted too. So now as you move about your day and in your field and thinking about that question more when we come back together next month, like some examples, and now really just look at it with an extra eye, some extra attention. All right, we got one more in the chat. Groups coming together and doing positive activities together. Awesome. Thank you. So systems and grassroots entities. Like who are systems? So we say the word systems, and I'll speak in I words because I don't want to put my thoughts on you. You know, we all are individuals. So when I hear the word system, it automatically has a negative thought. It brings negative thoughts to me. And maybe that's because of, you know, being a young Black man who, you know, in the communities that have been adversely just traumatized by systems for, you know, and that's not, I don't think that can be disputed. Systems have pretty much been, or the word system and what we think of system has been there as a not an ally, but an adversary for marginalized communities that like the ones that I come from. So even hearing the word system, there's already a barrier right there. And really hearing system, I think of, if I was to close my eyes and someone said the word system, I think of government, I think of law enforcement. But, you know, now doing this work, I have opened my mind up to that they are those included, but there are so many other systems at play. Amanda?
Yeah, I think you hit it on the head. It's like they're even for me with the work that I do, because in the position that I'm in, I've got to catch my own self, right? Because I've developed this bias, and who is systems? It's filled with human beings as well, right? And so we're gonna get into that a little bit later. I'm not gonna share, but there's another slide that I want to talk about. But you know, who are systems for me? It's all these entities, but everything's made up of a human being. So I'll leave it at that for now.
Okay. And anybody on here have anything to add to who are systems to you? Please put it in the chat. We're back on the questions. What does systems mean to you? Yeah, the system. Now you hear that. I'm thinking about just childhood growing up, the system. That it's all about the system. So even coming into this work, like think about these brick walls that are already planted, like already there. So even hearing I'm going to work with the system, I'm going to work with systems, I'm already apprehensive right there, you know. And that I was previously, and it's still there. It's not gone all the way. It's some hold back. Like that's not a good thing. So we have that. People, technology, process, cycles, politics. Great. Red tape, necessary steps to take. Yes. Protocols. Yep. So many. And if just looking at the chat real briefly right there, just see so many, everyone had a different opinion on what systems is. So this also goes back to what are your personal experiences with systems, you know, and if you coming from a negative background like me, it's harder to get engaged with systems. And then here we go with number 2 with who are CBOs, who are community-based organizations, nonprofits, churches, that's spelled wrong. We come in typos and all. Churches, community activists, who are CBOs. And I just to throw this out there myself, and please follow in with the chat too, like who are CBOs to you? What are community-based organizations? What I've had a problem with in the past is people that I personally believed weren't community-based organization, but who dictates what that is? You know, and we have we call them and you may have heard the term, the big 5, this mysterious big 5, but there's 35. Like who this is, but that's the number that we set on them. So the big 5, if a big 5 organization operates in the community, or what is the community? So from my area of expertise or standpoint, if you're in the marginalized community, if you're in the hood, if you're in a poor community where I come from, and you're a big 5, or you're a larger, well-funded organization, and you're located in that community, are you a community-based organization? So at times, I believe technically you are, but I can't. I've had apprehensions with saying no. So is a community-based organization just the underfunded from the community organization? So if you guys don't mind, please put in the chat, what do you feel a community-based organization is? Amanda, what do you feel a community-based organization is?
So funny that you just mentioned that, but yeah, I think it's, you know, communities coming together, whether it's you could call yourself a community-based organization, whether you're funded or not. Like you said, who says that? That's a good question, because even though people get funded, there's still people out there doing the work. You know, I'm part of groups that didn't get funded for a while. They were still doing the work, and now they're funded, and now they're considered individuals that are community-based organizations, right? So like you said, I'm in agreement with who gets to say what a community-based organization if they're doing the work. So I'm right there with you with that. And Emma, you have your hand up.
Yes, I have a question, because as you're having this conversation, I'm thinking in my mind as I'm trying to figure this out. So and it's better to say it than type it, talk
Yeah.
faster than I type.
Yep.
But so I come from a background of group homes with adolescent males, 6-bed houses that were funded by the state, but they're housing, the residents are placed by, social services and even juvenile probation. So with that in mind, I have to wonder, with it being a nonprofit, would that group home fall as a CBO, or would it fall as a system, because it does work so closely with Health and Human Services, juvenile probation, social services? Where would they lie?
I mean, for me, I don't know about you, Armand. For me, I consider that like a partner to a system, right? Because they're not necessarily creating policies or overseeing ordinances or any protocol or laws, but they're really, I think, like you said, they're funded by you said the state, right? Yeah, so that would, for me, would be a partner to a system. But again, who gets to say, but for me, in the definition of what that is, it's, for me, that would just be like a partner to a system. What about you, Armand?
I'm in this recent time of my life really looking at people's mentality, and even my own, when who's the judge on what a community-based organization is? Is there a standard? Is there somewhere where there's guidelines? And then even then, who made those guidelines? Even what really recently, what's been bothering me for lack of better terms, the word community, and people use the word community for different reasons. And for example, there's individuals that may go to a city council meeting and claim they represent the community. I'm here speaking for the community. Well, who elected you to do that? What community are you talking about? And so what is community? And they're like, you got to be engaged with community. Well, here where I'm from in my city, that community could be the 50 people who claim the community, but at the real community at large, and specifically, let's say Black and Brown community of my city, have no idea these meetings are going on. They did not elect these people to represent them. They don't even know these people. So it's like, what is community? So we all come with these different ideas and terms, and we use trending terms and it changes. So what is systems? What is a community-based organization? And Amanda, like you said, if a group it wasn't funded and now they're funded, are they not community-based? And that goes to, and I didn't go into that too much or at all when I introduced myself, but I created launched a nonprofit in 2010 is when I first started working on it, Paving Great Futures. It is now, we got our nonprofit status in 2013. This year will be a 10-year anniversary for Paving Great Futures. The first meetings were done in lobbies of restaurants, garages. I started renting rec center rooms for $100 out of my pocket, like not funded at all. Don't even know what I'm doing. Just want to help people, to now be on paper being worth a lot of money through grants, so it's still in the community, but it's funded. not all that it needs and could do with more, but it's funded. So is that not a community-based organization? So, and once again, who sets the standard?
Yeah.
I just want to real quick read Kelly's. It said, from grassroots initiatives to more formally organized organizations, nonprofits, charities, churches, and some of those can be very large and powerful. I believe that these tend to be more focused on purpose outcomes than just profit outcomes. Excellent. Can a community-based organization be focused on profits as well, or does that disqualify you?
I got to respond to that too, because I also in my early stages of the career, I was told, well, you're profit over people, and I'm like, wait a minute, why can't it be both? Right? I got to make a living. I have rent to pay. Everyone's got rent to pay. So thank you for whoever posted that. Armand's reading the chats, but that is another barrier that I'm trying to break. Is look at all the other I would say careers out there that you can make hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars, and no one questions it. But as soon as a nonprofit makes a ton of money, it's like, oh, like there's like some weird stigma around that and stereotype. But it's like, sometimes we're the ones that are doing the gnarliest work out there. We should get really paid for those efforts. So thank you for posting that, because that is something I forgot to mention that I'm passionate about breaking that stereotype and stigma too.
Is that like a pastor who has a Rolls Royce and a big home but doing great work and have a large congregation and leading them? That's anyway, let this be a mind check for us all too. Like where did these ideas come from? Who are we? And we all have opinions. I'll move faster. Okay. Go ahead, Amanda. You got that.
Yeah, cool. I mean, this is I think everyone on here knows this, right? I think this is nothing new. This is not like brain science, but I always say the work that I'm doing and my model is the simplest and the hardest, right? Because this right here, formulating strong relationships, it takes trust. There's a lot of noise out there in the world, right? There's a lot of movements out there. There's just so much happening in the world that, I'm going to speak on behalf of my experience, that formulating strong relationships takes a lot of time and trust and patience as well. So again, this is not brain science, but it's so important to have that patience. And we'll get into this a different slide, but we're going to be talking about activism versus intentional communication. So I'll pause there, but again, not rocket science, but sometimes the hardest thing to do.
Absolutely. And I personally know those strong relationships have helped people that needed the relationship. A straight example, relationship I've had with the district attorney's office and this individual who may be doing 20 years to life for a situation that really he needed a diversion program. If I didn't have a strong and good relationship with our local district attorney's office and able to call and set that up, that person may have got wiped into the system. So I love this. I've once again, I don't know where this came from, but I've been told it's an ancient African proverb. I've heard it's told different ways, but we can go fast by ourselves, but we can go far together. Love it.
Cool.
So where does this work happen? In communities where your personal work can make a difference. So this strong relationships, the ties happen in cities. They overall, they happen in individual communities. And, like, once again, communities, what is a community to you? Common unities, I've heard recently in one leadership class I'm in, it's common unities, things that unite this certain group of people. Now that is your community. In government, anybody else, where can these strong relationships be useful with systems and community-based organizations other than cities, communities, and government? Are we working today? Don't make that. Or did we cover it? I know there's more areas. Amanda, do you know where else can these strong relationships? Oh, I know. I just thought of one right now that I just said it. The courtroom. Having strong relationships can make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, there's businesses. I think cities and communities kind of encompass a lot of different things. So you can maybe think of what are those entities within the cities or communities that you can think of, local businesses, you know, yeah, those are the types of like schools, you know, all those things that fit within this.
Right. And this is these questions also, we're cheating here. PTSA, what is PTSA? Post-traumatic stress. I don't
know what that is either. Yeah,
Karen,
what's up?
Karen, talk to me, please. What is PTSA?
Sorry,
Sorry.
it's it like you know, after school and there's like parents of all parents coming together and they talk about what's happening at school, the benefits, what do they need, all of the parents coming together.
Oh, yeah. I see. Yep, I got you. Yep,
That's cool. Yeah.
cool.
So, yeah, I'm telling on myself. A lot of these questions are helping us to kind of see from this group here where else over the months we should concentrate our conversations and what areas guest speakers come in at. So other than cities, communities, government, parent, teacher, SA. I don't know what the S stands for. I will make it up. Parent, teacher, student association. Hey, there we go. Got it. All right. When should we connect? Whenever it's possible. We need
Yeah.
to, right? Amanda, anything for that one?
Yeah, no, I mean, it just goes back to, you know, all of these different things, systems, cities, communities, government, like it's really broken down to human beings. So whenever it is possible to connect is, you know, you're just connecting with human beings. And I think a lot of us on here are people-centered in a lot of the missions that we work with. So yeah, whenever, again, not rocket science, but sometimes it gets difficult, right? You're tired or you don't feel like it, or, you know, you're irritated or in a mood. And it's, you know, we'll get into checking yourself and self-care and all that. But yeah, whenever possible is when you should connect.
Absolutely. Building trust for successful programs. Trust is you know, trust is big in everything, relationships, every type of relationship. It's even including self, trusting yourself, you know, so building trust to actually, you know, be a person of your word, be an organization of your word, be a system of your word. And that could be, I swear for myself, like I would rather, I tell people this, and I found this to be kind of a problem. And I'll bring a solution because I hate just mentioning problems, but a problem that I've discovered, I would say that I'm from the streets, right? I'm from a gang background. I'm from the, you know, where it was almost more respectful in the streets than when I merged into the nonprofit community organizing world. If someone didn't like you on the streets, you knew about it. So whether you engage with them or not, or it got to an actual fight or not, you knew it was open. And I found like in politics and community organizations, you don't get that. It's hidden. And once it's discovered, there's a lack of trust. And, you know, and even so, then the work is not done. And once again, being able to put our personal feelings, beliefs, things aside to for the greater good of the people, it requires trust and being a person of your word. And this is my personal, I would rather know someone or some entity. We didn't vibe. And then even then, there may be commonalities that we still need to connect on for the common good. We might not connect on everything. And I'm sure there's people in your own organizations and people you deal with that you wouldn't invite to your kid's birthday party or to your, you know, but you got to be able to separate the work from our personalities. Let me say that.
Yep.
Any opinions on that?
I'd like to say that, oops, let me put my video back on, sorry.
You're good.
When you say, which kind of goes back to the first question. Hi, everybody, my name is Susanna. You know, I do volunteer work with Sister Cities Project and a grassroots organization, Solana Beach for Equality. And you asked about systems, working well with organizations. And when one thing that I've been encountering is that the leader of one of the organizations that I'm with, there's been a loss of trust. And so getting any city council, any city, support has been an issue. And it's just that once that reputation is out there, it just really deteriorates the capabilities of that group. So I just wanted to say that because that hit home 100%.
And I'll say this too. It could be an opportunity, right? Because I'm a big proponent of not only either a founder or leader of an organization has got to be the one to build relationships. It's an opportunity for you to build that relationship too, right? And for other people to have their leadership grow and flourish. So although that's broken, it's something that can always be repaired. I've been on both sides of the table where I don't trust you, you don't trust me, and it's like frustrating, but maybe it's not that leader, maybe it's you, maybe it's someone else in the organization. And people have got to be bold and willing enough to let their ego aside for that to happen, right? Like when I first started in my career, I wanted to be the one out there in the community on the ground, like making a difference, but I can't. I had to put that aside because I'm not the one that's going to be connecting with the community, right? I'm not the one that is, I don't have a gang background. I'm not formally incarcerated. I'm just an advocate and ally. So I'm like, okay, where does my skill best utilize? And mostly it is, partnering with systems right now. And then there's people that can do other things. So keep that in mind too. That could be a really cool brainstorm session, like who can build that trust back. So it's always possible.
And Amanda, I'm people here, right? And when sometimes we forget that we're human and we do make mistakes, and including myself, I have done things and lost people's trust in areas, and I feel that pressure, and so and if you really are at fault, and we'll get to this. I have a slide coming up talking about that. We're being able to look within and recognize you're wrong, and we make mistakes, we trip. But are you laying in there? Are you getting up? Are you righting that wrong? So I'll stop. I see a hand up. We got Talitha.
Yeah, this one I think really hits home for me too, because I work with a lot of different organizations, but one of them is building trust between the community and law enforcement. And so this, I think of as whole parts of the community between sheriffs, police officers, and community members by bringing in different groups. And how do you make the relationship stronger and better if there's no trust? So I really like this one.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah, I think we both want to go ahead. We're both like, oh, but this is what we go ahead, you go.
So what comes to my mind as you said that is you hear often rebuild trust, or building back those bridges. And when it comes to especially police and communities of color, there never was trust. So we got to rethink of how do we establish it in the first place. And that's one of the hardest fights in the world. And once again, even looking at not just community-based organizations, but law enforcement with the mentality, I don't care what your banner is. I don't care what you put on your LinkedIn profile of your job. You're a person, everybody's an individual. So I hate we judging the entire entity behind the individual, but that law enforcement, that building trust, it does need to be built, not rebuilt, which you'll hear a lot of people say, we need to rebuild trust with communities. Well, it was never there. What do we do to start from scratch? Amanda.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think, Armand and I have dealt with this, with working, I think, specifically with the police department. And it goes back to what I said to Susanna is find the right people to do that, right? I've got team members that they're like, nah, I'm not dealing with the police. So I'm like, all right, who's going to deal with them? I mostly deal with them. And I've had to really, this was a really turning point in my career around what Armand said is they're human beings, right? But it gets so difficult, even though I'm an advocate and ally and I haven't been through that, the stories that I hear from the people that I love, I'm like, ooh, what happened there? You know, so I've got to check my own bias. But then again, it's like, it's really about having the appropriate people build that and knowing that it's going to be rocky, like just knowing that, right? I think at the beginning, we do have a partnership with one of our programs with the police department. It was not smooth, you know. I think we're just getting to a point of being on the same page, and it really, and sometimes I had to remove myself because I was getting frustrated, right? So it was like, who's going to step in, who's not, but I think the biggest point is not giving up on it, because if you give up on that, then who else is going to do it? Really? I mean, you could look to someone next to you and say, hey, go do this. But if you're passionate about your work, it's really, you know, and this feeds perfectly into the next slide. It really is on you to figure that out. Who is going to build trust? Who's going to have those relationships, and be patient and know that things are going to happen. Like Armand said, no one's perfect. Things are going to F up, and you just got to keep working through it. But this leads perfectly into the next slide.
Right. And back again, remember the work that you're doing is not necessarily for you as an individual. As much as I've walked out and wanted to walk out and had a disbelief in systems and law enforcement, at times I still needed to make that phone call to help this life, you know?
Yeah, cool. You want to start? You want me to go?
Nope, that's you.
All right, cool. Yeah, well, I mean, this is, you know, because I think, you know, if we're just going to call ourselves out here, we're having an honest conversation. I mean, I think I've seen both Armand and myself get highly frustrated at times in the community, because, you know, we're so passionate about the work that I've definitely pointed my fingers at people. I'm like, oh, you're not doing this, and, you know, you're not providing this. And it has gotten me really nowhere, right? To get frustrated and angry. I think that there's a time and a place, you know. I work with a lot of coaches. I do a lot of personal coaching. So, you know, I allow myself this space to work through some of these frustrations, not out loud anymore. You know, I think I used to be one of those angry activists where I just wanted to point fingers and this is on you, and why aren't you doing this for me? And again, it really goes back to people being people. And this is why it's like, all of this, you can tell, is, again, it's not rocket science, but it is the hardest work to do. Trusting, building relationships, not just, you know, getting on a loudspeaker and calling people out. Because if you think about it, sure, that could help temporarily. In the moment, that might help something. But if we're really, really trying to shift a whole culture, and it's a big task, it takes balls, right? To shift a whole culture of what's already been. Pointing fingers is just a temporary solution. So this is something I've had to learn the hard way. I know Armand has as well. I think, you know, we both have done our fair share of pointing fingers, but, you know, I got to look at, okay, why am I getting so frustrated, you know, and really look internally and look at myself sometimes. So go ahead, Armand.
This is still to this very moment, active internal work for me. I'll speak once again in I terms. I have been used to looking for an outside person or entity to be the problem. I use my pointer finger, you know, and they like this, the index finger and the thumb. You got those, right? You can use that index finger to point it at somewhere outwardly, or you can use that thumb. And I'm purposely trying to always think, what did I do for this situation to happen? Almost to the extent of it raining outside. What did I do to, like, always, what could I have done differently? Personally being a believer in karma, what did I do back? Sometimes I go back. What did I do back then that's coming back to haunt me? More so, not to the detriment of now I'm down, or I feel like I'm the blame for things all the time, but rather than looking outwardly, what could I have done differently? You know, especially some associates and people I'm with. Well, I chose that associate. I knew there was signs that this person was conniving. This person wasn't pure, but I chose to bring that person on. I chose to be around. I knew I didn't vibe well with, but I chose that. So rather than being mad at that person that I know is already not active, already not doing something that I like, well, you have a choice. So rather than pointing the index finger, my opinion is pointing the thumb at myself and figuring out, taking responsibility. And by doing that, I find that I get better and I actually think about the decisions I make better, rather than pointing at the police and saying, well, they did this, or pointing at the healthcare system. Okay, what could I do better? How could I have engaged them better? And sometimes that pointing at yourself might be, you don't need to deal with X system, X person, because of that. Anybody have any opinions, want to chime in on that? Looking outwardly versus looking inwardly?
And one thing I will say too, and yeah, we can take some sharing as well, is we're not talking about injustices either, right? It's also not about letting people off the hook, right? So I don't want anyone on here to think it's like, oh, like, butterflies and rainbow. It's like, nah, but it's also about doing it in an appropriate way to not, like, I think Armani mentioned this, not have it be a blanket thing, right? That one injustice does not equal an entire community or entire race of people, or, et cetera. And I think that's what I've seen people get into trouble is one thing leads into the stereotype of everybody, right? And it's in any community, right? I'm part of the LGBTQ community. There's stigmas about my community. There's stigmas about, Armand's community. So it's really about checking yourself on that too. So I just wanted to add that in there before we take some sharing.
Everybody's good. No indexes or thumbs.
Okay.
So segue, all of this is helping you to helping us to work and deal with systems. First, inward checking, check yourself first, making sure you're bringing your best self into these relationships, understanding, yes, we have biases. We all do. I do have biases towards certain things, systems, and looking back and not just leaving it on surface level, but why do I have these biases? Some biases come from they come from your personal experiences, the way you were trained, educated since a kid, situations and circumstances that led you to have the mind frame you have. But having those and keeping those in stone and not being able to look outwardly, look at the individuals you're dealing with, that form of system you're dealing with, having patience and and actually trying to work with community-based organizations, with systems, because it seems more we're coming from a community standpoint towards systems, but systems have these biases too. We, like, with a lot of grants, it's starting to change a lot, but they had the it had to be a reimbursement grant. Like I was served on the Board of State of Community Corrections for the state of California, a committee that was designing reentry grant funding, which helped put over $100 million into community-based organizations throughout the state over 3 years. One thing I brought to the table there was the fact that community-based organizations were having a problem with this reimbursement. And I think Senator Skinner was in the room, and when this was brought up, like, everybody in there was like, whoa, like, we've never not had a reimbursement. But that X'd a lot of the people out that wanted to get these grants that would have did good work, because they did not have the revenue or the money, the capital to enter into the grant in the first place for reimbursement. But through a lot of meetings and things I've had and trying to gain understanding of why is this like this, and there's been not right, but there's been people in the past that community-based or nonprofits that have not been right by some funding. And now, in my personal opinion, I believe some systems have used that as a reason not to, like, oh, because this one organization messed up, we're not going to provide this funding to others because this one messed up. So I over the 10 years of doing this work now, I see that's starting to not be the case, and the reimbursement policies starting to not be there. But basically, just prioritizing the needs of others, understanding the groups that, by us not working together, you're a youth advocate. You're not serving those youth. You're not serving those seniors. You're not serving the unsheltered population by holding on to these biases, holding on to these different stigmas that are prohibiting us from working together. That's it. Anything?
No, that's it. Yeah, that was beautifully said.
Okay. Well, thank you. Anybody else out there in the world chiming in? Making sure we kept this open dialogue. Everybody said no, Armand. You said that. Great. Thank you. Love you all. Oh, edging God out. Go ahead, Amanda. That's you.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is like one of the, and I deal with this all the time, right? It's like, sometimes I want to be the one that has the voice, or the one that is, out there front and center. And I think we all have a little bit of flavor with that. And it's something that I have to constantly check with myself, right? And I think I told you the story about early in my career, I wanted to be the ones out there, but I have to really look at who's the best person to be out there. Sometimes it's me, sometimes it's not. And so I work with a lot of coaching around, how to remove my pride and ego and have it not be personal. But it really is, it's for me, it's embracing coaching and mentorship. I think that's like the biggest asset that I've ever had is having a mentor, having a coach, knowing that I don't have all the answers. That's one of the biggest things that's helped me. Self-care, definitely, going to the gym every single week, eating right, massages, just anything that, again, not rocket science, but it's easy to fall off, right? And so I've done a better job at putting these things in place this year. And then mindfulness, which for me goes back to being mindful of the self-care and being mindful around having a mentor, going to a mentor, and knowing that I don't have all the answers has been the biggest thing for me personally that's helped me remove a lot of my pride and ego. So
100%. I've heard the term self-care so often over the years. It wasn't until the quarantine where I realized, oh, it's really needed. It's not just a cool term. Self-care, understanding that you need, without you being in a good space, could be doing a disservice to the people you want to help. And we're all humans. We go through traumas, we go through roller coaster life. People die, things happen in our lives. And when you're doing a work of servicing people too, you tend to bring on more. You have a heart of helping and bringing on people's pain. So a lot of us carry that as service workers and on systems and in community-based organizations. So having those mentors, that self-care, actually taking that time for yourself. Don't feel bad. Like I feel bad. 2021, literally having loved ones die every month of the year 2021, losing cousins, lost 7 mentees that year. I broke down. I wanted to give up, did not want to do this work anymore. From years of just not taking breaks. I had so much time saved up. I had so much leave. I had to get forced to take leave because my self-care was working more. And that was no good for me. That was no good for the people I was helping. But the only way at the time, I thought the only way to not deal with stuff was to just work more. And then that came to imploding. We'll move on. I know time is getting quick, so we'll go through here. Ooh, Amanda, what is
yeah,
this?
and we talked about this, right? I mean, it does go back to the first slide is being willing to call yourself out. It's so, I think for, passionate individuals like Armand and myself, and I'm sure other people share this, it just gets so easy to get so angry, and the other thing too is allowing that to show up, but not putting it on loudspeaker is the other thing that's helped me as well, right? Not like trying to pretend it's not there, not trying to like shove it down, but just like, ooh, like I'm getting a little angry, but I'm not gonna put it on loudspeaker anymore. I'm not gonna go write an article or have a press conference. Not that I've ever done those things, but I've had the thoughts of doing those things. But I'm not gonna like go do some weird stuff on social media. Like I'm just not, because it just feeds into the noise. There's so much noise out there. And again, I've said this 15,000 times tonight. It's not rocket science, but it is. Human emotion is real, and it's so easy to fall into those traps. So that's what I'll say about that is, not putting it on loudspeaker and just allowing yourself to be angry, but you know, again, not feeding into all the rest of the noise that's out there.
Thank you. I've been the angry activist. Dorothy, you've seen me as the angry
I've seen it too. I've seen it too. Yeah.
That saying, you get more bees with honey. What shows it? I don't know, whatever it is, being sweet gets you a long way, you know, and not necessarily sweet. That doesn't mean compromise on your morals and what you believe and your stance. But yeah, be strategic. And for these relationships, and it's strategy over angry activism every day.
Yeah.
And but be prepared to you know, stand up strategically.
Yes.
But yeah, that's a whole meeting in itself, and training that needs to happen.
For sure. Okay.
All right. So on time. It's 5 o'clock now. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew our next session, April 19th. This was an overview and just kind of tap in. So now you all know, and you are all ambassadors. Bring people, let's have a dialogue and come prepare for a dialogue on why should systems and community-based organizations collaborate. Collaboration between systems and CBOs that foster community resilience, self-reliance, and stakeholder inclusion. Will be April 19th, same time. You know, there'll be some announcements of the guest speakers that'll be coming in, and we will you know, address this and really dialogue. For this is not the Armand and Amanda talk at you, but hopefully we've warmed you up, and you like, let's have these dialogues, let's talk together for us to strengthen, and now we'll be a better service to people. Your solutions improve when you remove anger. Go ahead, Emma. Just hit that chat. Amanda, anything you want to say before?
Yeah, I would just say thank you everyone for being here, and I'm hoping that you show up. I just had a thought that who knows what this collaboration could turn into, right? So if we could keep coming and like Armand said, be an ambassador for it, because who knows, we could create our own little cohort here and, you know, do something cool in the communities that we serve. So let's keep coming if you don't mind. And I appreciate each and every one of you showing up today. It means a lot.
I wanted to say thank you for this, because I can't even tell you how relevant all of this is. I'm actually on the East Coast too. I live in Kentucky, and this is so relevant. My history, I have history with a lot of different agencies and stuff, but Child Protective Services is where this needs to go. So it's
Invite
all,
them. Tell them to come.
I'll try to get a hold of some old connections for sure. So
Yeah, tell them to come. Cool. Well, thank
Yeah.
you.
And Armand and Amanda, I want to thank you for putting this together to share your experiences, because you've had so much success. And Armand, I've known you for 7 years, and we've worked through some tough things. And if you can share that knowledge with this team and a bigger team, I think it's going to be really powerful.
Absolutely. Thank you. And Dorothy and I got acquainted with each other. I don't know if it started with the Prop 47 Commission or was before then, and that's what led to that. But I, as a community member at that time, still a lot of angry activists, was there at the table working now on one of my first commissions I ever worked on, or committees, to help with the Prop 47 reentry initiative that was going on in San Diego, which really was eye-opening. I this was early on where I left. Like, I didn't want to even be, I didn't see a system, I didn't see the cohesion happening at that moment. But just that one committee I've seen grow, come back, and system like, okay, maybe what we were doing wasn't working, redo it. And a big learning. You've been a learning.
Yeah, we all have a lot to learn. We learned a lot, and we have a lot more to learn.
Absolutely. And that's what this is for. So hopefully we're in our corners of the world, we can bring this together and we can do better work.
Yeah, beautiful. All right, any last words from anyone before we wrap it up and say goodnight?
Give me one second, I'm gonna run through this. Oh, okay, we're gonna keep this chat. Boom, boom, boom.
So do we have our information on the flyer, Armand? I can just throw my number in the chat quickly though.
I'm gonna tell you the truth. my friend Emma said that I needed to have that in here. And then I came home and my baby was crying. I have a 5-month-old daughter who was going through it. And it just took my attention and I didn't do it. But yes, if all of you can, please put your contact information in the chat, email, whatever you feel comfortable with doing. And let's stay connected. Please put your email in the chat so we can send this the upcoming information to you personally. Right. We're back here on the 19th. If there's anybody you think can bring value or needs to hear or whatever, please invite them and continue this dialogue. All right.
I think we got everyone. Give it maybe one more minute. People are still throwing things in the chat. I think that's it though. Let's see. All right. Beautiful. Appreciate all of you and we'll see you next time.
All right. Bye, you guys.
All right. Bye.